I'm Effie Parks. Welcome to Once Upon a Gene, the podcast. This is a place I created for us to connect and share the stories of our not-so-typical lives. Raising kids who are born with rare genetic syndromes and other types of disabilities can feel pretty isolating. What I know for sure is that when we can hear the triumphs and challenges from others who get it, we can find a lot more laughter, a lot more hope, and feel a lot less alone. I believe there are some magical healing powers that can happen for all of us through sharing our stories, and I'll take all the help I can get.
Once Upon a Gene is proud to be part of Bloodstream Media. Living in a family affected by rare and chronic illness can be isolating, and sometimes the best medicine is connecting to the voices of people who share your experience. This is why Bloodstream Media produces podcasts, blogs, and other forms of content for patients, families, and clinicians impacted by rare and chronic diseases. Visit bloodstreammedia.com to learn more.
Hello, and welcome to the podcast. This is Once Upon a Gene, and I'm your host, Effie Parks. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your precious, precious day to spend it with me. I really appreciate it. If you haven't yet left a rating or review on Apple Podcasts, could you hook a sister up and go do that for me? Having a review to read really helps someone decide whether they want to listen to my show or something else. And you know how magical and amazing this show is. So please, if you could go do that, I'd really appreciate it. And if you screenshot it and share it in your stories or send it to me, I'll send you some Once Upon a Gene stickers, okay? Who doesn't need a sticker for their laptop or their water bottle? Okay, when you're listening to this, if you're listening to it the day it comes out, I'm going to be at the Global Genes Rare Advocacy Summit in Kansas City, September 25th through the 28th. I'm so excited to see my friends in person. We're talking about friends in person a lot in this episode you're about to listen to, so I'm excited. If you don't know Mariah Gillespie from an old episode, you're going to adore her. She's just so smart and she's so emotionally intelligent, and I can tell that she really processes her feelings and stuff that she's going through, and she reflects on it in such a way that she has such beautiful wisdom and advice to give on the matters. She has two super rare girls, and she was the founder of Lightning and Love Foundation. She still works in rare disease patient advocacy research stuff, but she's also pivoted a little bit to something maybe you've heard of called the Colorado Mom Tribe. So we are talking about her shift sort of from solely working on treatments and cures for research to friendships and community. Enjoy this episode with Mariah. I know you're going to love it. Okay. Hi, Mariah. Welcome back to the podcast.
Hey, Effie. I'm so glad to be here. It's been a while.
I know. Me too. For anyone who doesn't know Mariah yet, head back to episode 74, back in like the very beginning, where I interviewed her. We've been trying to nail down another time for a long time. You know how it goes. So I'm really excited to have her here and give us some updates on her path. So Mariah, for anyone who doesn't know or who needs a reminder, can you please give us an introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said, my name is Mariah, and I recorded back, I think, a couple years ago now, when I was still a little bit earlier on in my journey. I have two daughters. My oldest, Emma, is now 7, and my younger daughter, Abby, is now 5. And they were both diagnosed with a genetic condition called THAP12. And until now, they're still the only two people in the world that have their specific genetic condition. And back when I first recorded with Effie, we had pretty recently launched our research foundation called Lightning and Love. And we've been doing a bunch of work trying to understand their gene better. We've been searching everywhere for any other cases, but unfortunately, we are still the only two cases of THAP12 that we found. My girls both are wheelchair dependent. They have epilepsy. They use a G-tube to eat, and they're nonverbal, but you know, they're just the most wonderful girls, and I've had so much fun jumping into the research world, getting to know so many amazing people in this community like you, Effie, and so I'm glad to be here to provide some updates on where things have been.
Awesome. Yeah, you've been such a force for your daughters, Mariah. And it's been such a joy to follow you over the years and see the girls grow up. And congratulations, you also had a little baby boy.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe long ago. I don't know what time it is right now, but he's still a little buddy.
He's one and he's keeping me just as busy. Maybe that's why it's taken us so long to find a time to meet up again.
Totally. Yeah. And maybe that's a conversation for another future podcast of having him after the girls. But today we have a different topic that we're going to talk about because I know how immersed you were in Lightning in Love and doing the research and funding and all of that stuff and learning the science. And you've completely shifted your advocacy focus to more of a community focus. And it's something called the Colorado Moms Tribe. So if you could give us a little info on what the Colorado Moms Tribe is, and then maybe we can talk about that moment that you realized maybe fighting for a cure for the girls wasn't the only way to heal your heart.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah, Mama Tribe has really been a passion project for me and for the women that run it with me. It really came out of necessity. You know, back when my girls were very first diagnosed, especially Emma, when I was really brand new to this journey of raising a kiddo with a disability and a rare disease, I was so alone and so lost. And I think that that is a feeling that a lot of moms have, a lot of families have when they first get a diagnosis or they first realize that their journey is going to look very different than they had anticipated. And, you know, back how many years ago, almost 7 years ago now, podcasts weren't quite as popular as they are now. And I was so desperate to find anybody that could share a story with me that was similar to what I was experiencing. So thank you for having this podcast now for so many parents that are especially new to this journey. But, you know, back then I was just so alone. And I think my solution was, well, if this community doesn't exist, I'm going to go create it. So it started off just with, you know, I think we had 6 people at our first get together, and it was just people that I had met through different areas of the community, different therapies or school or just different, you know, even at the hospital, people that I would meet that had kiddos similar to mine. And I was like, let's get together and just chat it out. And that was in, I think, 2019, 2020. And like I said, there were 6 people at that first get together, and now we have almost 400 in our group. And we provide monthly meetups for moms that, you know, it's not just about getting together and socializing, but it's about venting about all of the struggles that we go through. And it's about sharing all of the milestones, the inch stones for us often, and just having a group of people that understand what we're going through, because I don't think you truly understand unless you've experienced this life. And so really having a community that gets it has been kind of life-saving for me, I know, and for a lot of the women in our group. It's a lifeline, and we're growing as we go too. So we have a yearly respite retreat. We provide care packages to moms that are in the hospital with their kiddos. We recently started providing free group and individual therapy for our moms. And then unfortunately, we recently started our bereavement support group. So we have kind of a variety of things, and it's been a blast to get it going and to get this community as strong as it is, but it's busy.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. I feel like my soul is nourished just by knowing this exists. And I'm so happy that 400 moms so far have found you.
I know.
Especially love the touch of knowing when one of them have a kid inpatient and they get a little zest in there. That's really cool. So do you have everyone in the group kind of contributing to the fundraising aspect of this, or is this something you and the board sort of take care of?
So we, as we've grown, have started different committees. So we do have a really amazing fundraising committee that is rocking it. So for the most part, we handle the fundraising and all the logistics as a board and as leadership committees. And we try to keep that for as much as possible outside of the worries of the group itself. And through that fundraising, we're able to provide most of these events for free. Everything is very subsidized. So we keep our retreat very inexpensive. The therapy we provide is free, all of that. So we're really trying to take a burden off of our moms and let them come join this community and just be taken care of and feel supported through everything that we can offer.
I'm so happy you said that. I think there can be such fatigue and burden in feeling obligated and required to fundraise for things on top of everything else that you're already doing, and also fundraising over here. So I love that you try to take that off of them as much as possible, unless it's like their gift, and they want to really do that and get pepped up for it. I love that you don't feel obligated to contribute in that way, or maybe you're not worth it.
Yeah. And what we've learned is that, different moms have different passions. I am not a fundraising mom, but we have some in our group that's their passion and they're so good at it. And I mean, we couldn't do it without them. So, we really are a team effort, and the moms that want to be involved step up and have contributed. And we're hosting our very first leadership summit this January, where we can all kind of come together and dream up the vision for Colorado Mama Tribe together. And, everybody that has their passions are able to contribute what they are good at and what they're interested in. So it's been really beautiful to watch this community grow so naturally, just based on what moms are interested in, passionate about.
So cool. So how has this changed or shifted your day-to-day life from patient advocacy org leader for Lightning and Love to the Colorado Mom Tribe?
They both feed my soul in such different ways. Running Lightning and Love, and which is something I'm still doing, but it was so hard to move quickly. Research just moves slow, and it had so many bumps along the way. You get something exciting. I remember we got our mouse model funding, and we were so excited to get that started. And then once we generated it, the mice didn't live past embryo stages. The gene is too critical to life that we couldn't even get a live mouse model. And that whole process took probably a year. And so it was this up and down of so exciting, we're making progress, to this very devastating loss. And that's just what the research world is. And especially for an N of 2 disease, with my girls being the only two, gaining traction for a full-on cure is just something that I'm learning. It may not be in the cards for us at this point in time. It may be that my girls versus getting a cure are just going to provide this information and this critical understanding towards science, and that's okay. But I think that was such a beautiful way for me to heal from this difficult diagnosis. But I think having this other side to it, where I get to have a more day-to-day impact and a more active advocacy role, has really fed my soul in another amazing way. And so it's busier. Colorado Mama Tribe is much busier when you think of running an organization of almost 400 women completely voluntarily with a full-time job and a 1-year-old. So let me tell you. But, it's just been so much fun because it's such good relationship building. I've gotten to meet so many moms that have changed my life. My best friends are now in this group. And if I am down with the girls or going through a hard part or at a hospitalization, they are there for me in a heartbeat. And I don't know how I did it before them. I don't know how I did it before this community. And that's something that we hear a lot of moms say over and over again, is I don't know how I survived this life without you all. So two very different parts of this journey, and two both equally beautiful parts that I'm so thankful to be able to lead.
Oh, that was such a beautiful explanation. And if anyone can do it, Mariah can. I know it.
Yeah. Doing my best.
So stepping back from the rare disease research sort of bubble, I know we were kind of chatting in the DMs the other day, and you were saying something about how it was you sort of letting go of a certain type of hope. I don't know if that's exactly what you said, but I wonder, how did you practically process any sort of grief from that, or guilt from moving away from some such intense advocacy work in the science arena to what you're doing now? I mean, do you feel more at peace now, or do you still feel pulled in both directions?
Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I think the way you said it, with kind of letting go of the guilt, I think that's been hard for me. I do think I am at peace now, but I think it's taken a lot of time. When the girls were first diagnosed, mama bear instinct kicks in, and I am going to cure these girls. I am going to figure this out. I am going to make everything better for them. And you work your butt off and you do that. But there does come a time when you don't give up, but you do understand that it just might not be possible. And I will never give up. Lightning and Love is still very active. We are still doing a lot of research and pushing as hard as we can. But I think it took a lot in me to let go of that obligation and that pull to cure them. And I think I've gotten to a place where I may not cure them, and that's okay. Instead, I will honor exactly who they are as little people, and I will honor the journey that they happen to be on. And it's going to be a beautiful journey, even if I don't get to make everything better for them. Even if I don't get to stop all of the disease and stop all of the pain, we're going to do the very best we can with what we've been given. And so it's taken me a while to reach that level of acceptance, as I think probably any parent does. All you want to do is help your kids. And so I think easing away from that determination on that side of things, and then knowing that if I can help other moms, and if I can build a community that strengthens these feelings for other moms, that's just as important. And that's honoring my girls in another way, in a different way. And so, yeah, there's a lot of guilt for me still that I feel like I'm not doing enough for Lightning Love. I'm not doing enough for research. As hard as I've pushed, I feel like I've got to be missing something. There has to be more I can do. But as I've eased up on that and transitioned into a focus of advocacy with regards to a community building and, helping other moms, I think that's given me passion and purpose in another way that's eased some of those feelings of sadness and regret that I might not be able to cure my girls.
I love how you framed that this is another way to honor your girls and not making anything less than or more important, because it's so absolutely true.
Yeah, we say a lot within our community that like our kids are the reason that we connected. So these beautiful friendships that we're making and these connections, they're all thanks to our kiddos. We wouldn't have met without them. And so our friendships in our community are 100% an honor towards our kids.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the power of friendships, especially what you're doing with Colorado Mom Tribe and having them in person as well, right? You call it the elephant mamas, which maybe you can explain why you guys chose that term. But having these friendships that really understand your day to day helps you heal in ways that are just unexplainable. And also, is there ever just like a time when you're like, I loved my friends. I had good friends. I was a good friend, but I don't think I ever would have had the level of richness in friendships that I do now because of this. And how could I ever have known what I would have been missing out on unless maybe there was this giant crashing down of some type of adversity? I mean, do you think that you look at your friendships differently from before and after? Does that even make sense, what I'm trying to ask?
Absolutely. And I think it makes exact sense. And, I actually think about that often because I did have great friendships before, and I look back on my life before the girls and it was fine. But there is something, you look at the world in a completely different way. I think once you've had kiddos that have struggled and, it opens your eyes to what's really important in life. And I think those friendships are really a perfect example of that because they kind of dig below the surface. We love each other so fiercely. We fight for each other so fiercely. The pettiness leaves, the competition leaves. We're just really there for each other 100%. And so, yeah, the level of friendships, the deepness of our friendships is really, it's just so different and it's so hard to explain. Again, it's like you kind of have to experience this life to know how important it is to have somebody there for you. But kind of as you mentioned, in Colorado Mama Tribe, our little mascot, we call ourselves Elephant Mamas. And the reason for that, which kind of ties into this, is elephants in the wild, if they're injured or if there's a predator or if they're giving birth, any source of vulnerability, they'll circle around the vulnerable member of their elephant tribe and protect them. And they'll kick up dirt and they'll make noise and, whatever they do to try to just protect that vulnerable member that's in the center of their circle. And so we kind of compare our tribe to that. We're there for each other when they're vulnerable. If one of our members is down and out, we are going to circle around her and lift her up and protect her. And we know that when it's our turn to be in the center of the circle, all of our fellow mamas are going to circle around us. I think it's a beautiful representation of how strong our friendships are. It's always been meaningful for us.
Yes, that brings up just all the emotions of love. Yes. Okay, so in a future episode, I'm going to talk to Mariah's fellow board members, and we're actually going to get kind of more into the nitty gritty of what the program does exactly and how they got off the ground and blah, blah, blah. We're going to get more in depth into some actual stories at some of their events, but I'm just going to touch lightly on a couple things with Mariah first. But Mariah, do you have any advice or tips for families, women, dads, whatever, in other cities who want to also sort of create this safe haven, this like connective group? What advice do you have for them to start this sort of thing in their own community?
You know, it happens so naturally for us. And really, I think all it takes is 1 or 2 or 3 people that are going to commit to setting the time, setting the place, saying, we're going to be here, show up if you want. You know, there's so much conversation in different organizations or Facebook groups or whatever that are like, oh, let's plan this, let's all do this. And you know, you talk, but until someone says, hey, at 5 p.m. this day at this place, we're going to be there. And that's kind of what we've done. We just started doing that every single month. We pick a place and people just started showing up. And then more and more moms started showing up until more and more moms wanted to volunteer to help to plan these things. And so I really think it can grow so naturally. It doesn't have to be this big ordeal to start with. I think just, you know, get a group of your friends together, put up a Facebook group, start setting locations and days and times. And I think that people will just come. You know, we had no clue. I had no clue there were this many interested moms with kiddos with disabilities that would actually want to show up to a group of brand new women and make friends. And they are out there, and it's been so cool to see everybody kind of coming out of the woodwork and actually getting to know one another. And it's been really cool.
I totally love that. And I can't agree more, especially like with doing this podcast for the last, 5 years, the power of being in person and the power of having someone even just next to you. It's life-changing, and I really want to encourage more people to try to see each other in person more if they can. Honestly, even if it's just the video call when you're talking to your friend, I think it makes a huge difference on your soul care. I definitely try to work on that a lot here in Seattle. Although the Seattle freeze is real, I wish I lived somewhere else because I would have some banging and in-person stuff. It's a small crowd of people who actually want to get in their cars in the rain and go and socialize, because it's cool to not socialize here, which is very annoying.
I feel that, but come visit Colorado. We'll bring you to a Mama Tribe event someday.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I will be there. Okay, well, Mariah, I guess I'm just going to ask one more question. Now, years into your journey as a rare disease mom, how has self-care sort of shifted for you, or has it become more important, or does it look different than it used to, or that you expected it to?
Yeah, self-care definitely looks different than I think I ever expected it to. I think the cliche stuff is a bubble bath and a massage, but you know, there is just no time for that in my life, at least not right now. But I will say that Colorado Mama Tribe has been a huge part of self-care for me. It's like forcing me to get out of my house, to go meet up with friends, to take some time to myself away from my family. Not that my family is not self-care, but you know what I mean. And so I spend time out and about on the weekends, and I'm able to have that time to reset and to vent and to commiserate and to celebrate and do all these things. And that's been a huge benefit to me. So Colorado Mama Tribe has definitely been a form of self-care. And then I think in addition to that, it gives me the ability to feel like I'm connected to my girls in another way, because I get those breaks. And so when I come home, I feel like my quality time with my girls is stronger. And for me, that's a big part of self-care, and that's very helpful as well.
I just want to tell you that you're so grounded and you make me so happy in general. And I want to thank you so much for always shining bright in this community. And thank you for doing this work and helping other moms feel less alone and more connected. It's so important. We need to have these spaces to really find our strength in one another. So thanks for being a voice for the Colorado mamas. And I hope to see you have so many more moms that everyone comes in to swoop in and help you. So thanks for being my guest, Mariah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for the conversation. And I'm so excited for you to interview my fellow board members so we can share even more about Colorado Mama Tribe.
Yes, awesome. I hope you've been enjoying this podcast. If you like what you hear, please share this show with your people, and please make sure to rate and review it on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also head over to Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to connect with me and stay updated on the show. If you're interested in sharing your story, or if you have anything you would like to contribute, please submit it to my website at effieparks.com. Thank you so much for listening to the show and for supporting me along the way. I appreciate y'all so much. I don't know what kind of day you're having, but if you need a little pick-me-up, Ford's got you.